Hi everyone, my name's Odette and I'm here to talk to you today about video interviewing. I am the Head of Talent Acquisition for Coca-Cola Enterprises and I appreciate that I'm pretty much what stands between you and lunch, so I'm going to keep this very, very brief. I've put together a very short agenda. I'm going to talk about what my particular business issue was, the problem that I personally have with a piece of paper, talk about video interviewing in a bit more detail, some of our results, the future, and some of my top tips for getting us off the ground. But first of all, let me share with you a little story. Like all good solutions, you have to start with a business issue. And mine, back in July 2014, was graduates. It was my first cycle at CCE, so naturally I wanted to get a bit of a flavour for what had gone before me. And it was very, very clear from speaking to my team that this is how they felt, completely and utterly under pressure. The reason for that is I work for an American business, which means we like to keep things very lean. So I don't have a dedicated team to entry-level resourcing. My team do this on top of their day job, and they've already got a very, very busy day job, I promise you that. So the volume of applications typically that we receive, just to give you a bit of a ballpark, we'll get about 800 applications per one job. So we talked about employer branding earlier. Be careful what you wish for. Right? So for 20 places, that's 16,000 applications my team have to get to 20 future business leaders, okay? That's a lot. So you can imagine with that, the knock-on effect is time to hire. Previously, it would taken nearly 6 months to recruit 20 people. That is just entirely too long. On top of that, our service levels were poor. The business echoed it. We're out of the business for 6 months. We're not doing day job. We're at assessment centres, we're at careers fairs, we're all over the place. So the business wasn't happy with us. And also candidate experience, right? I'm a graduate. I've applied on the 1st of September, and I'm not hearing from you until end of November. It goes back to Mark's point. I don't know where he is now. But 4 out of 5 people will disengage with you. And we're a big brand. We can't have people not buying Coca-Cola. Quality, always about quality. Because our process had been so long, we were having assessment centres in January, February, March. Now we know the best candidates will be offered and accepted before Christmas, so to be having assessment centres so late, we actually had ratios as low as 1 to 10 at our assessment centres, which is unbelievably poor, especially when you consider we've got senior leaders in our business at those assessment centres. So the more you do, the longer they're out of the business, the more costly it is. And then finally, like all things in life, it was underpinned by cost. The money we were spending on graduates was completely disproportionate to the seniority and the volume that we were recruiting. So, very simply, how do we get from here to here? Easy. But that's internally. So let's look externally for a moment. The world is changing. By 2020, there will be 50 billion connected devices and locations. That's a lot. By 2020, our workforce will be made up, 75% of our workforce will be made up by these boys and girls. They're called millennials. And they are a completely different breed. If anybody's actually started trying to look at how you recruit and retain these guys, it's tough. And we live in a convenience market. So a bit of audience participation here. Can you put your hand up if you think more than 20% of interviews happened outside of business hours in 2015? Keep them up if you think it's more than 30, 40, not one person. Oh, one person. Yes? 62% of interviews were conducted outside of business hours last year. In the States, they're a bit further ahead than us. And of that 62, how many do you think were taken during the weekend? Hands up if you think it's more than 20, 30, nobody. It's 51%. The world is changing. You don't need me to tell you there's a war on out there. There's a lot of people in here that will recruit specialist and niche skill sets. And on top of that, we talk a lot in CC about diversity because we know it's one of the key strategic drivers to unlocking our workforce and therefore our bottom line. So let me get back to my little internal blockage and my problem with a piece of paper. When you're recruiting entry level or even people that don't particularly need a strong skill set, you've got a CV and it gives you that. right? And trust me, at this level, everyone's a great communicator. They can work just as well in a team as individually. They all can strategize, whatever that is. We need to get to the bottom of the iceberg, right? We need to get to the person. Our recruiters have been making decisions on experience, but we're recruiting graduates. It shouldn't be about experience. It should be about competency. It should be about their potential, not about where they did their internship. And their education, again, that's not particularly diverse. I can say that because I went to a terrible university, right? And I've turned out okay. So we need to get to the bottom of this iceberg to get that holistic view of these candidates. We want to give them that platform so they can showcase them. Because otherwise, we're making decisions on a bit of paper and we're just looking at their CV writing skills, right? Which, let's be honest, their mummy and daddy could have done for them. So the big question was, how do we sidestep CVs until later in the process so we can get to the person? And it's a bit of a spoiler because you know why I'm here. Video interviewing. Now I'm going to whiz round these because these were some of the challenges, I was challenged with internally when we looked at this as an option. So if we think, some of this won't mean a huge amount, but the familiar 5-star rating, internally we use that. So the solution we went with in the end had exactly the same. So it went from a does not meet to absolutely exceeds. Employer branding is obviously very big for us. We have got a big old brand and we need to protect it. So the solution that we went with, you could do lots of very cool things like intro videos, outro videos to really build that experience with the candidate and also make it more personalized. That was one of the biggest challenges I came across, was actually it's a bit of technology. How do you humanize it? And there's some very cool things, I'm not going to go into them now, there's some very cool things you can do to engage candidates. And actually, what we found is we had exactly the same drop-off using video interviewing as we did with telephone screening. Exactly the same. It didn't make a difference. And obviously for us, it needed to be available in multiple languages because we're a big company. We needed the data and the analytics because we need to know and measure our success. And we wanted to be able to mobile optimize it without integrating it to Taleo. I don't know how many people use Taleo, but it's a big old job to integrate anything to it. And we wanted that flexibility for our candidates, hiring managers, and recruiters. So here's some of the results. I promise these are real. Remember, I started on a really low baseline, right? So that's 64% cost per hire. We've increased our diversity. NPS at the bottom, if you're not familiar with it, that's Net Promoter Score. That's essentially will your candidate recommend you in the future. The average across Europe is 49%, by the way. We ran 50% less assessment centres. And I'm going to put this one in the middle, because this was a career first for me. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but since we've used this technology, it's not just one. We're in double digits now of 100% conversion at assessment centres. Think about how much time you are saving and the quality we are putting through our process and in front of our hiring managers. So we've been on a bit of a journey. We started October 2014 with graduates in Britain, in my country. Not my country, my team country. And we've rolled it out. We did it across commercial, so think sales guys out in the field selling Coca-Cola to the local corner shop. We then did it with apprentices. France went live and the Nordics went live a year after us. Then we switched on Bulgaria and Benelux in 2015 because if you've worked in those countries, the works councils are quite tough. And this year we've rolled it out further across all of Britain now. So all of Britain use it. We typically tend to pilot things and then the rest of the countries jump on board afterwards. Now I've left, that is sort of question marks around what the future holds because I don't want to spoil it. I do know what it holds and I'm going to share that with you. But hard results are nothing without engagement. So this is how our teams, our hiring managers, and our candidates feel about it. Genuinely, they love it. If I tried to take the tool away from them now, they would literally cut my hands off. They love it. Why? Because it gives them the gift of time. Has anybody in this room ever been on a telephone screen and, it's 30 minutes and within the first 30 seconds, this person is not going to get hired? But you've got to stay on the phone. You don't have to with this. You just say no thank you, send them an email, job done after a minute. Think how much time that saves you when you're going through 16,000 applications. And it means they're then spending the right time with the right candidates, giving them that gold service, and then your hiring managers are doing exactly the same thing. So by the time we get to offer, very few people turn us down because they have had that personalised service. Candidates like it, no travel costs, they don't have to take time off work. What else didn't, there was something else, another big one. Don't have to take time off work, no childcare. So they can do it in the convenience of their own home, which means they're naturally going to be a bit more relaxed anyway, and they can do it any time, day or night. And our hiring managers love it as well. What we're seeing is increased engagement from our hiring managers, because what we're doing now is sharing the videos. Now that we've finished graduates and we're using it just for commercial, our hiring managers, we're sharing the videos with them, and they're getting to see the person before they even come in for assessment. So actually, it's increasing engagement. Everybody loves the fact it is mobile optimized. I mean, I've literally sat in an airport screening candidates waiting on a flight, because you can do it anywhere. And then finally, diversity. And this is one, we knew by using this tool, it would keep our talent pool very wide and diverse, and therefore we'd be making better decisions. What I didn't know when we switched this on, and I don't have the results yet, because we've just closed Q1, but we have it's called a business support centre, so by all intents and purposes, it's a call centre up in Peterborough. Now, we've been using the tool up there. It took a long time for them to get into that mindset this was the right thing to do. But we now have people sitting on the phone, talking their native language to our customers, and we're finding we've got incremental sales. It is literally affecting our bottom line now out in the business, because we are hiring a different kind of person.
If I would have to sum up
There's a few here, I'm not going to go into all of them, but it gives you a bit of a flavour. He actually got hired as an intern in our French team. So, what does the future hold? And I suppose there's going to be a lot of people in this room that are a bit sceptical, and you can't understand or maybe see how that would fit into your business. If it's maybe smaller, you just surely don't have that volume of applications. So it's not just a one-way static system. That's how we've turned it on, because we wanted to pilot it and we've got large geographies, but it's not just about that. And what we're going to do this year is trial it differently. It's all part of the same package, we just haven't switched it on yet, right? So different things that you can do is coding if you're recruiting IT people. You can add a case study to the email, to this, and then give the candidate enough time and then ask them questions on it, and they can free text their answer. You can put videos on this. So we're using it in supply chain now, where it's for health and safety. So basically there's a video of somebody walking around one of our sites, and then the questions come up, spot the hazards. You can use it if you're recruiting people with language skills. You can say, here's a bit of text, translate it, or spot the errors in this bit of text. You can use pictures, so think you're in Asda or Tesco or wherever you shop, and the big gondola ends, that's what we call them, big gondola ends, your special offers, picture of that, what's wrong with it, to the candidate. So you don't have to just use it as interviewing. You can use it for so many different ways. We're obviously going to integrate it to Taleo just because it's going to be easier for the recruiters. And then we're also going to use it as a revenue generation tool for our commercial business. So think at the end, a candidate is going to receive an email, thank you so much for taking this video. Here's a coupon, have a free Coke on us. So even if they're unsuccessful, we're still building that brand engagement, but also they're going to redeem that coupon. We can track that, and it's going to create incremental sales for us. Now, this is a bit new age for me, and we haven't turned this on. We're not going to do it for about 18 months. But what you can do if you use the system correctly and you feed it information, it gets more and more intelligent over time. Okay? So it takes digital interviews, and it'll analyze them for you. So they'll do video to text, so whatever the person's saying, you can literally then go on and type it in, and the people that have said that exact phrase or the words that you're looking for will pop up. Also very useful for pipelining. But they'll look at the stress levels in people's voices, the words that they're using, how they construct sentences, even the length of their interview. Lots and lots of algorithms sit behind it. And then you feed it business matrix. So of the people that you have hired, go back into the system and say who is successful, who's been promoted, did they leave? And then all of a sudden, you've got predictive analytics. So recruiters can then go into the system and it intelligently will be able to tell them, you need to interview these people quickly because they're bloody good. We know they're going to do well based on what you've already told us. And all of a sudden the game changes again. Okay, so final ones from me, my top tips. Know your business challenge and be really clear on the objectives. Like anything, if you don't know what good looks like, then you're not going to be able to measure it. You're not going to be able to track your return on investment. Start small, safe, and track it. Meet lots of providers. There are so many providers out there, guys. Some small, some big, some international, and they've all got different functionalities. So I've used a couple of platforms now in the UK. We're really happy with the one that we're using at the moment, but there's many others out there, so I really would recommend seeing as many as you can. And don't think this is just for the big budgets, right? Some of the smaller providers, you can get this off the ground, £1.49 an interview, or case study, or picture, or say candidate. Keep it personal and on brand. So think about those communications that you're sending to your audience, keep them very targeted, and obviously keep it on brand. It's another great way to get your employer brand out there. And remember, it's horses for courses, so I wouldn't go and put an IT person through a case study specifically. I would put them through maybe coding or something like that, because we know that's where they're going to be able to get that skill set across for us. And then just my final thought. By adopting this tool, you're fundamentally going to have to change your mindset and how you recruit. And that means you're going to have to change your business and HRs as well, and that can be tough. There'll be a lot of challenges along the way, but when you start producing the results that we have as a team in a business, the business case literally writes itself. And that is me. Thank you for your time.